Hello again, Cons here. I recently did a video on Alatreon set bonus, and it was brought to my attention by data miner Death Cream that actually the Bowguns have a different modifier, which makes sense because I wasn't actually able to check them because they don't display easily comparable elemental values. And so that's what I'm here today to test, to see if the elemental effects that you get from Alatreon set bonus are different for Bowgun. So this is the set I'm going to be using. You can see no offensive skills except for resentment, and we're going to be at full health, so resentment isn't going to be playing a role. It's just purely elemental resistances right now. I don't have any other set bonuses. I don't even have the 3-point of Alatreon one, just in case that had some weird stacking or whatever. I just wanted to keep it purely the 2-piece set bonus. And so yeah, you can see the food skills too. And so with this set, on the training pole not tenderized, we get values of 42, 42, 42, 42. You see I have no affinity, just to make sure we got a consistent value. And so now we have the exact same weapon with all the same augments and mods and stuff. However, I have no skills on the set. As you can see, I am completely naked. With the same set but a fire attack level of 1, you see we get 42. And lastly, with a fire attack of level 3, we have a value of 48. And just a reminder of the baseline test for the actual Alatreon set, same set as before. You can see the resistances 45, 43, 46, 46 and 44. And just reconfirming, 42. So here we are in Spreadsheet Town once again. Don't worry about the rest of the numbers, this has just been my general testing sheet. But yeah, here are the ones that we've just recorded. The attack values for the element up, so fire attack level 1 gave us 30, 60, 100, and these were the attacks of each bowgun shot that we fired. Here are my resistances, and here was the damage of the Alatreon version of the set. So if we use the typical 5% value that we estimated from the previous video, we can work out how much damage we should have done. We can't actually work out the damage. The damage calcs for bowguns quite complicated. There's a reason I'm not doing damage calcs, and it's because it's like elemental scaled with raw. But what we can do is compare the two numbers. So we can sum up our resistances. We can times that by 5%. That gives us 11.2, which is 110 true element. And so then it should have been slightly higher than 100 true element, which is level 3 of fire attack. So we should have seen 48 or 49, basically. Of course, we saw 42, which means that we're definitely not getting 5%, and so that this number is incorrect. We are not getting 5% of our elemental resistances. So I guess the question is, what are we getting? Okay, so hold on to your hats. This one gets a little bit complicated. But yeah, I told you the damage calcs for light bowgun are quite difficult, and so I want to try avoid doing them as much as possible. So instead I'm going to use the spreadsheet that I made a long time ago. I just updated it to get the elemental light bowgun. By the way, the reason I haven't released this is because like most of the calcs don't work properly. But yeah, I updated this sheet to get the elemental bowgun calcs working. So you can see I put in my raw of 371. I had a power charm and power talon in my inventory, which is why we displayed 390. And I have all the skills listed here as 0. We can go to the data output page, see what the elemental value is projected to be, and it's 39, exactly as we expected from the previous testing, with no skills active. Just to verify that this sheet is roughly accurate, I can set element up to level 1, which gives us a plus 32 elemental value. If it'll show up, there we go. And then the data output changes from 39 to 42, 42, perfect. And just a reminder, 39, 42, 44, 48, exactly was projected. So what we need to do is work out exactly what elemental values give you a result of 42. And there's a fairly easy way for me to do that in this sheet over here, which is to go to the skill values that are all listed, to go to critical, to go to element up, and to just change these. So we can change the first one to give us 10 element. So there we go, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So now if I go to our results, this just saves me having to run all the damage calculations myself. You can see element up 3 gives us a value of 30. So what we can do is take that back to 0, that'll give us, I think it was 39. If we go to 1, we can see what it gives us. 42. Nope. Wishful thinking, I suppose. 40. So we know it's definitely not equivalent to 10 points of element. And the reason we can safely go up in percentage in amounts of 10 is because that's how true element work. It starts as a raw number, gets multiplied by 10, so it can't be any smaller denomination than 10. 1 element up level 3 we know gives us 30 points of element, we know rather give us 42. But we also need to make sure that that the next level 40 points doesn't also give us 42 because of rounding errors, and that way we can be more confident in our results. So I'm hoping this is 43. It's not, it's 42. Okay, so the results won't be as accurate, but it's not a huge deal. And then 5 we can just make sure goes up to 43. Sorted. So we are back in the main spreadsheet, and so I've listed out the values. At plus 40 element, we were doing 42 damage, 50 we were doing 43, so on and so forth. And all I need to do is reduce my total elemental resistance from 224 until the point that we reach 41. And once we've reached 41 element, I just bit my lip, then we'll have an exact value. Oops, gotta retake that because that was on my spreadsheet. Yeah, just to confirm, with these elemental values, 25 through to 24, we've just taken off all of those resistance decorations. I'm now getting 41, whereas with one more of them on, I was getting 42 still. So that gives us a total of 124, I believe. Okay, so I'm not going to go back into the whole algebra of rounding spiel that I went into last video. You can take a look at that one if you want. But basically what we know is that 124 elemental resistance corresponds to 20 of this here, the sort of 20 point when we were doing the element up calculations. And so what that means is that this maps to a true element increase of 2. So we know that 124 times some unknown percentage rounded must give us 2. And so the way we work that out is we do 2 times that number 2. We add 1 and then we divide it by 2 times the multiplier. Again, I'm not going to go into the algebra of why exactly we got that again, but you can trust the numbers when they come, or you can take a look at that video. So 2 times 124, and we can repeat the process. So that gives us, well, let's times it by 100 as well. Why not? Just to get a nice percentage. So you know it's between 2.016%. And if I just replace that plus with a minus, that'll give us the lower bound between 1.21%. Now there is one way we can better isolate these results, because between 1.75 and 2% is a good range, but we'd like better. So what I did was I stuck a single fire resistance decoration on my set, which gave me 130 elemental resistances in total. And I found that gave me 42 damage. I was going to keep increasing, but this is about as good a range as we want. And so now we can repeat the calculation, but for this damage over here. Again, we're going to make the fairly safe assumption that this maps to 30 true element. And we find values of 1.92% and 2.69%. Nice. The upper bound is bigger than the upper bound here, so we don't need to worry about that. But the lower bound is higher, and so we can overwrite this lower bound with a value of 1.923%. Oops. Okay, so I know this mask got a little bit out of hand. Sorry about that. Hopefully I've edited out most of the boring stuff. I mean, it's all boring. But anyway, we know that the bowgun modifier is somewhere between 1.92% and 2.02% with certainty. More testing could lower this value down a bit. However, the data miners told me that it was between 2%. And so given that we've got these tested values, I'm more than comfortable to say that I trust the data mined value, and that we have pretty reasonable confirmation that that happens to be the true value. So yeah, I think the right answer would be 2%. That's quite important to know, actually. So whereas if you were to put 200 element on your set, you would be getting the equivalent of like a water attack +3 on a Blade Master set. You would not be getting that on a Gunner's set. You're getting basically less than half of the efficiency. My video on actually looking at the set compared to other set bonuses and doing maths and stuff, that's still in progress. Those numbers are taking a while. And I think I might scrap that and go for a more sort of test-oriented approach. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you with that. Just know that that's on this way still, and hopefully it won't be too long. But yeah, so keep in mind that the skill is less powerful than I said it was, specifically for bowguns. Sorry about the bloop. That was my Discord. I'm not redoing this take. Love you. Bye.